Greetings and salutations. Welcome to episode 141 of Ref the District. I'm Nathan Perry. That's the Stoner. Trev just messaged us. He'll be here in just a little while, but you're stuck with the two of us here as we start off the discussion. We'll end with our bold predictions for week 5 Thursday night football as the Washington Commanders host the Chicago Bears. That's exactly what we're going to be talking about in the game. If you haven't already, make sure you check out our game preview with Joey from the Believe in Bears podcast. Great conversation, lots of fun. And I'll tell you this, Stoner, it was fantastic. For the first time, and I don't know how long, we were talking with somebody whose team is the dysfunctional one, and it wasn't ours.
Yeah.
Our team wasn't the dysfunctional one.
Finally, Stoner. We're not bottom feeders. Well, not the bottom feeder.
Yeah, not quite there, but there are some contentions here, and people are getting feisty across social media as we prepare for the 0-4 Bears. And namely, some of the stuff that's going around in the contention wise is 1 second-round pick Quan Martin and 1 first-round pick Emmanuel Forbes. We'll start with Emmanuel Forbes, and then we'll go to the second round decision making and what's going on with that. But Emmanuel Forbes has been catching a lot of flack, a lot of it partially due because he had a very, very bad game against AJ Brown, so much so that people were mocking him to the point where he removed a social media account. Do you think that is fair to do to the young man?
Well, did he delete it because he wanted to feel better? Right? He wanted to just kind of get away from it all. And like, you know how you and I might get on the keyboard and do something or say something bad, right? And he's just probably preventing himself from doing that because he got trolled pretty hard.
He did.
A little bit from the Commanders fan base, but the Eagles
more
fan base
so
was
from the Eagles.
Yeah. So he could have been doing it just to protect himself. What's up, Trev?
Trev
up,
in the house here.
In the his owl.
That Forbes deleting social media post reminds me back when Defo did it when he was a rookie, I think. Remember? Because we had Jamal from Let Maul Tell It on, and he admitted that he was kind of, getting after him a little bit, and he stopped answering back, and he was blocked or something like that. I could be telling the wrong, but it was something like that. So
I remember.
We've seen this before. It's probably helpful. We saw how he reacted when he got burned on the sideline. He was very frustrated, either himself or something that happened along that. So, kid's young. It's going to come with it, with being in the NFL now and being a first-round pick.
And honestly, I think it's good to show that he's frustrated with his play. He knows he can be better, and that's a good thing, right? If he was apathetic, if he was Albert Hainsworthing it out there, then that would be a bad sign. But the fact that he's passionate about it, and he was getting upset with himself, and he honestly, I'm good with removing social media. If it weren't for the fact that it's part of what we do here on Ref the District, I would probably not have social media because it's a cesspool.
It is.
And it used to be to keep connected with people. And as a military brat, and then as an Air Force veteran, I have people scattered all over. So it was great for that. But people gonna people. And so I'm good with him, especially when you're that kind of high profile and you're gonna have and be in the public like that. It's more than okay to just focus on the game. And it's also more than okay to get this one here from Allison, this 99-cent donation. So Allison is coughing up her dollar here because Allison
she lost a bet.
Allison said that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to have 10 plus sacks, and they did not reach that mark against Sam Howell. So she is owning her end of the bargain. We appreciate the support there, Allison. So moving on from Emmanuel Forbes, the other discussion surrounding this week has been with Quan Martin.
Sure.
Trev, we've shared some stats across our social media channels on how the second round picks are faring across the league. One of the most interesting stats that we shared was the fact that Quan Martin has not had a single defensive or offensive snap. Does that surprise you for the second round rookie?
Yeah, especially all the hype surrounding him coming out. He was part of that good secondary defensive back group in Illinois with Sidney Brown and Deontay Banks, I believe, Devin Witherspoon. We saw how he had a game on Monday night, so we just thought he was the third musketeer out of that group, and we saw maybe a flash of it in preseason. He kind of had a gimme interception, but had a nice return from that, and he's been hurt, I think, with concussion or something like that too, a little bit. So
yeah,
but for him not to get a single snap on defense is mind-boggling, because he was supposed to be the guy to play that nickel, that whatever position, like that
Buffalo nickel type deal.
Nickel, thank you. Yeah, he's supposed to come and do that and fight Kaliki Hudson for a spot like that, or provide some safety depth, and it's just hasn't. Not that it's not working, just hasn't had a chance to work, because, and we all heard it, what Ron said. He's behind some really good guys. Well, where are those guys at? Because
the defense has been slow to start, and we had a lengthy discussion over the slow starts there. Tommy mentioning here, the injury is also something that kind of took Quan Martin out. But
can I counter that injury?
I was going to go to you, Stoner, on that particular.
And Tommy and I went back and forth a little bit on Twitter, and Tommy's very respectful, so it was a very respectful back and forth, and I appreciate that. But he was injured after week 2. So where was he week 1? He was active and healthy. Where was he week 2? He was active and he was healthy. And last week, he was active and he was healthy. If he wasn't healthy, he wouldn't be active. So he's been on the active 53 or 45 on game day, 46, 47, whatever the number is nowadays. So he's been there and available to play, and they've just not played him on purpose. They have not even one single snap. And by the way, in the second round, I went through every second round pick. I've got way too much time on my hands sometimes. And I went through every second round pick, and there's 3 guys who have not played a snap on offense or defense. 3. One of them is Will Levis. Obvious quarterback. That makes sense, right? He's behind a couple of guys there. And then the other one is Juice Scruggs, a center who was picked like second from the end because he got hurt in the preseason. And so
by the way, I looked up Juice Scruggs, and it was looking like he was going to get the starting position from what I've read out there in Houston anyways. And Juice was one of the I liked.
Yeah. So basically, Quan Martin is the only player in the second round who has not gotten a defensive snap or offensive, if you're an offensive player. He's got some special team snaps, but no defensive snaps at all. That's not good, because the excuse from Ron was to say, well, he's behind a bunch of good guys. Well, then you shouldn't have drafted him. You don't draft.
Exactly.
Long term, it makes sense to draft that, and the same thing with Mathis. And I know I'm never over on this. Never.
It doesn't make sense to draft a guy in the second round as insurance in case somebody signs somewhere else next year. Not in the second round. That's not how your second rounder
should be a high rotational player at minimum. At minimum. And especially in the middle of the second round, which is where Quan Martin was taken. The thing with that I'm going to keep pressing on this is coaching as well. Jack Del Rio and Ron Rivera are asking Quan Martin. They've listed him as a safety on there, but like you said, they're asking him to be the Buffalo nickel. They're asking him to cover the slot. They're asking him to be a deep safety. And each of those are separate positions. And you have players in this league that struggle with that, who've been in the league for several years and have had time to get caught up to NFL speed. This is a rookie from Illinois, the Big Ten program, but one of the mid-tier Big Ten programs, who has talent. He definitely has talent. There's a reason why he was taken in the second round, but now you're asking him to play 3, maybe 4 different positions. And instead of specializing in what he does well, I'm a big believer for the younger players, the rookies, second-year players and everything, focus on something they do well and put them in that position over and over and over again. And then as they get confidence, then you expand the repertoire. And And Quan Martin's they're asking him, be a jack of all trades and just do all this stuff. And then he struggles in the preseason. And now he is behind what is a good group of players. If you look at the cornerbacks, of course, you're not going to start him over the three cornerbacks, right? Emmanuel Forbes, Kendall Fuller, and Benjamin St. Juste are, of course, going to be your starting three.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get into that area where like maybe he can mix it up, but Danny Johnson has experience. He has experience with Jack Del Rio. He has experience in this league. If you go to the safety position, Cam Curl and Derek Forrest, and yes, he has had his struggles this year. I see that in the comment section. You're not going to put him over Derek Forrest and Cam Curl. Percy Butler is a guy who they liked last year and has had time with Jack Del Rio and is developing. So, I mean, at best on either one of those, he's 4, maybe 5, but you only get to put so many of them out there on the field.
Right.
And so far this season, and this is the other thing I want to stress to you both, guys, we're 4 games in, like why? And he's missed one due to injury. I think it's a little too early to kind of get so down on
totally
him
agree
as a player.
I totally agree that it is too early. I'm not writing him off. I'm just saying so far, this is all we have to look at right now. And so far, it has not worked out to the way it should. He hasn't kept up with his draft class. The people right in the same area that was drafted at the same time. So he hasn't kept up with them even. And that's an issue. And the one thing I will also want to stress about this whole thing is that sure, you'd like to draft a replacement for maybe Cam Curl so that you don't have to pay Cam Curl $15 million a year or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually a very solid strategy. You just pay the young guys and let the veterans who make a lot of money, you let them go. I get that. But you're doing it instead of, and I always say this, instead of drafting somewhere else that's a bigger need. A tackle was a bigger need. A guard was a bigger need. And they decided that a rotational / 4th or 5th safety / possible replacement if we don't want to pay a guy next year is more important than a guard or a tackle that could help you right away on a depleted offensive line. We all know about this offensive line. We've complained about it for years. They do not invest enough into this offensive line. And that's the result is Sam running for his life and being the second most or the most sacked quarterback in the NFL right now. And it's not all offensive line. I get it, but it's a lot of the offensive line. So you just have to kind of keep that in perspective. I don't mind drafting Quan Martin, but not at the expense of an offensive lineman. That's my whole point about that, about Quan Martin's draft position.
Trev, I don't want to put you on the spot here, so I don't know how much you remember from the 2023 draft. Quan Martin taken 16th. As Stoner saying, maybe take somebody else. Is there anybody you could think of that was taken after him? I mean, there was a good suggestion
16th
from Gus.
in the second round.
16th in the second round, yes.
Yeah.
So he was taken 16th in the second round. Is there anybody after that you can think of? Gus was saying, why not just trade up for Brian Branch if you wanted to double dip? And that was the guy we all did like. Is there anybody you can remember being available that you would have liked to have taken?
You're muted. Totally muted.
Thank you. I think it was offensive lineman, perhaps. Maybe Osiris Torrance.
Osiris Torrance ended up being taken 28th in the second round by Buffalo, and we got to see him in action. He did make the starting there. That's a guard. You know, this is a line that Ron Rivera had said that he was confident with, and they have promise in Sadiq Charles, and Sam Cosmi has been doing wonderful things at right guard. Now, he was drafted to potentially be that right tackle, but I love the stuff that he's doing at, out right guard. So Osiris Torrance as a guard would have been one. I'll say this, Cody Mock taken with 17 right afterwards.
Right after Quan Martin.
Yeah, listed as a tackle, is actually a starting guard for the starting right guard for Tampa there.
Oh, wow.
John Michael Schmitz was drafted as a center for the Giants. He started from day one.
Oh
DeJuan Jones, I think is that his last name?
Patriots,
right? He started every game as a tackle.
Yeah,
he was a 4th-round pick. So
I was
they're
about to
out
say
there.
That's much later. Yeah,
they were out there. You have to have the ability to recognize them and be able to target them and say, this is our guy who's going to play right tackle or guard or whatever. I mean, they had already signed Wiley and they had already signed Gates. I get that, but they're not like big money guys. So get one of those guys and develop them behind them. And then by, I don't know, week 5 against the Bears, why not have that guy start for Andrew Wiley? Because we've seen what our Wiley's done so far.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Trent Williams, please come back. Absolutely would love to have Trent back. But that's
and by the way, the whole draft class this year, save for Forbes, he's starting, but he's not playing even 50% of the snaps, I don't believe, by the way. But still, you got Forbes, you got Quan Martin, you got Ricky Stromberg, who hasn't touched the field yet. You got Braden Daniels, who's on season-ending IR. You've got KJ Henry, who is basically a healthy scratch every week. When he's and if he's dressed, he doesn't play, except for special teams a little bit. Then you've got Chris Rodriguez Jr., who I believe has 7 yards on the year, and then you've got Andre Jones Jr., who doesn't play. Even
our draft was sweet this year.
So far,
Emmanuel Forbes, by the way,
early.
66% of the snaps.
Right, it's
just
way
FYI.
early.
I did want to check that one.
But
who Forbes is at 66%.
Forbes is at 66% of the snaps. So that just wanted to make sure I got that, because when you said it, I was just like, ooh, I do wonder how that lines up. But I mean, as you mentioned, Quan Martin is actually, I mean, granted, again, this is with injury, only playing 45% of even the special teams snaps.
So he's probably only playing like kickoff or kick return or just one of those. He's not even playing both ways.
Yeah, he's behind Christian Holmes. He's ahead of Danny Johnson on special teams snaps there.
So. Right. So it's way, 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 way too early to start evaluating long-term for this draft class. But right now, it ain't looking good. Now, Ricky Stromberg, I think a 3rd-round center, that was a good pick. That was what they needed to do, and get somebody who eventually is going to take over that center position and develop him over a course of time. I think he's going to be a good center eventually and take over for Nick Gates maybe next year or the year after.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. The 3rd round, that's where you start getting developmental guys. Now, Braden Daniels in the 4th round, he was really, really bad already, and then he got hurt. So we're gonna have to see how that goes. But now you're starting to get into 4th and 5th and 6th.
Yeah, and we're not here to necessarily re-talk about the draft, especially this early into the season. But Quan Martin has been kind of a bit of a focus as he hasn't made an impact yet on the defense, which is kind of where Gus Bus is asking here, which one's more disappointing? The secondary, which has not been as great outside of Kendall Fuller having a really good season this year. Vincent St. Juste is still locking it up.
Yeah.
But Emmanuel Forbes has been a little bit of a struggle there. The defense entirely has been a little slow to start. So Gus Bass asking here, which one's more disappointing so far, 4 games in, the secondary or the O-line? Trev, what do you think?
I'm going to say secondary. I mean, because if you're comparing the two, we brought in more newer faces on the O-line than we did in the secondary via free agency and draft. And I mean, half the league has a bad O-line. Let's just be real. Like, half the league has an issue with their O-line. It's not just us. But a lot of those teams have a really nice secondary, and they're not made up of big names. They just have continuity. And we're just now starting to get that with our secondary, because BSJ missed some time with an injury. Kendall Fuller has been hot and cold. Then we brought in Forbes to be a ball hawk. He's really hasn't been that since preseason, but like we said, it's early. It's a rookie. It's first time going up against these dudes, so it is what it is. But I'm going to say secondary because, you know, those majority of those guys have been there for at least a year or two together, and it still seems like we can't create turnovers or stop the passing game. So I'm going to say secondary is more disappointing.
Yeah, Trev, I'm going to have to agree with you there. The secondary at least had lofty standards coming into the league. We knew the O-line was going to be a struggle. So the O-line, if anything, has impressed me. I was expecting a 2 and we got a 3. Like, oh, wow, that's actually an improvement. But the secondary, you go into this and you love Cam Curl, and Defoe had a great year last year. I've always been big on Kendall Fuller. Benjamin St. Juice is, I believe, a star in the making. And Emmanuel Forbes, flashes some great talent. So you really kind of put them at higher standards, and they haven't lived up to that. So I agree with you. Stoner, are you going to take the offensive line here?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head because of the expectations of a top 5 defense from last year, and all they did was add to it. They only lost McCain basically, and they swapped out Barton for who was the donk that left, Cole Holcomb, right? So that's basically all they did. So you expect it to be even better than it was last year, and it was already very good. So that's been the most disappointing. Which one has not been good? The offensive line has been worse, I think, than the secondary. And that's kind of saying something, as bad as the secondary has been. But I think they will improve. I think it's going to get better. The schedule is going to get better for them in terms of who they're playing, the quarterbacks they're going to be facing, the receivers they're going to be facing. And so I expect it to actually get a whole lot better over the next 5 or 6 weeks.
I think it's going to be a big improvement, especially here Thursday Night Football for both. Command D's is going with that D line, and going into our next conversation here is from Big E. I've noticed when Chase is out, the defense plays better. When he's in, the defense isn't better. Why is that? Anyone want to jump on this? Because I have a little bit to say on this one. So Trev, we'll start with you because you've been, I think, a little bit more critical, or no, you've been more of support for Chase Young, and Stoner has been a little bit critical. So let's get Chase. Let's get some support here for Chase. That's not a good start. I don't think it's coming. That's not a good start.
Well, to be honest, I think the explanation for that is because of all the time Chase Young has missed. Yeah, he's been in the meetings. Yeah, he's been on the sideline. He's been cheering on. Been a really nice, energized teammate who's a cheerleader. But to be on the field, I mean, he's got to relearn all these people's schemes and how Jonathan Allen does this, how Daron Payne does that, how Montez Sweat does this, and maybe they want to try something new, so he has to catch on to that. So I think it's the lack of continuity, once again, which seems to be the biggest word to describe our team this year is continuity, whether we have it or not. I think that's why the defense plays better, because the majority of those guys have played through the thick and thin of the season. And when Chase coming back, he's got to play catch up. And it looks like the way he's doing it is, maybe since we didn't pick up that 5th-year option, he's sending us a message by saying, it's about me this year. This is my prove-it year to see if I can stay or go. So maybe when he gets out there, he has the intention of being a part of the defensive line strength, but it just seems like he's doing his own thing at times, certain times. Like maybe he thinks he can do it this way instead of going this way, or, that's my biggest thing, because he's still got it. I mean, he's shown it this year. He still has.
He's got 3 sacks in 3 games. So
yeah, but it's
if he ends up with 16 sacks on the year, I mean, that's a massive year.
Yeah, but that's my explanation. Just the lack of continuity. He just hasn't been here long enough to be established on that defensive line like he was before he got injured.
Well, how many points did Washington give up to the offense of Arizona in week 1?
Would have been 10?
17.
No, 9? Didn't they give up a touchdown?
9.
Yeah, they gave up a touchdown to...
Yeah, and a sack fumble.
Yeah.
For the defense. So they gave up 9 points, which is what they should give up against a team like Arizona, who doesn't really have quite an offense. Then they played Russell Wilson, and say what you want about Russell Wilson, who was bad for a game or two, but he still can get it done. He's shown over the last few weeks that he can still get it done. Russell Wilson. Then they played Josh Allen, maybe first quarter of the season MVP type candidate, just lighten it up after the one trip up they had. Then Jalen Hurts, also an MVP type candidate. And look at those receivers that they're playing. The Gabe Davises and the Stephon Diggs and AJ Browns and Devontae Smith. So this defense has played two of the top offenses in the entire league. Mm-hmm. And Denver's a good offense as well, a higher than average offense. So they've played some tough teams here at the beginning. Now let's see what they do against the Bears and Atlanta and the Giants. Mm-hmm. And then you got Philly again and the Patriots. Mm-hmm. And then the Giants again. They're going to start regressing or progressing to the mean with this defense. And you're going to start saying, "Oh, where has that been all year?" Because they're going to terrorize Chicago's offense tomorrow night. Yes. And they're going to terrorize Daniel Jones and Desmond Ridder or Taylor Heineke, who's ever in there. They're going to start playing a whole lot better because they're playing offenses that are not as good. So I think they've been not great, but they haven't been horrible. No. That's just kind of my feeling about the defense and especially the defensive line. And I don't think Chase has been horrible, believe it or not, coming from this guy who wants to look at him and say, "I told you," but I haven't been able to do that because he's been pretty good. Chase has been pretty darn good.
I think he's been more than pretty darn good. I think he's been effective, and mm-hmm. he is showing why he was a second round pick. 3 sacks in 3 games. Second overall pick. Yeah, second overall pick. 3 sacks in 3 games. He's been disruptive. There have mm-hmm. been plays where it does seem like if the play's away from him, he's not going to chase it out. That's probably because we've seen that this starting defensive line is playing essentially all of the snaps. They're not doing a great job rotating them out right yet, and hopefully that's going to get fixed so you have them healthy late in the season.
You know what he's not, Nathan?
What's he not?
He's not TJ Watt. No. He's not
even close.
Either the Bosa brothers. That's not who
maybe Nick. Maybe Nick. Or the one maybe Joey, the one who's injured more in Los Angeles.
Right, but didn't he win a defensive player of the year? Didn't both of them win?
He got rookie of the year.
He's not those guys.
Joey only got the
let's just put that aside. Let's not try to compare him to those guys anymore. Let me compare him to a guy. Is he Montez Sweat? That's who he is. He's an effective defensive end, and that's probably all he's going to be.
Oh,
that's good enough. That's good enough. It's not second overall pick good enough, but it's a solid, above average type player, and that's what he's playing at right now. And you need that on your team. We just have to stop comparing him and asking him to be the Bosa brother or Khalil Mack, who's going to get 6 sacks in a game. Or that's not who he is.
Thought he was washed up.
So why isn't Chase elite is kind of the question. I'm going to get to that one here a little bit in my answer.
Okay.
When it comes to this, because you're right, he's not right yet at that elite level. We've seen the flashes. He was a defensive rookie of the year, and as far as that answer to was he ever on their level? To Gus's second question there, yes. He was defensive rookie of the year. He was on their level at that point of his career, and his trajectory was to be an elite pass rusher.
Okay.
Joey Bosa was a defensive rookie of the year. Chase Young was. There you go. Rookie season. He was on that trajectory to be that kind of level of elite player. He had a letdown his sophomore season. I get it. He absolutely did. I'm no excuses for him there. Then he got injured, and it took him longer to get back than people wanted. Okay. The mess that we're hearing right now about how this defense is better without Chase Young on the field, I would love to see some advanced analytics, because I think what happened here is somebody said it, somebody agreed to it and parroted it. And then more and more, you just keep hearing it until eventually it's just one of those things like, oh yeah, their defense is just not that good with Chase Young. They're better with Chase Young off the field. And that's simply not the case. This is a better defense when Chase Young is on the field. I think it's kind of coupled right now with the fact that the defense is starting slow again, and they're giving up 30 points a game. If you look at it, just from the simple box score, right? Because obviously, like I said, only gave up 9 there. For Buffalo, they only gave up so many points. But overall, 30 points a game is what this defense is being attributed to. Yep. And people are like, well, it's because Chase Young is back. No, that's not the case. This defense that's a Jack Del Rio thing. And so we're going to see Chase Young continue to develop this season. Whether or not he becomes elite, we'll see. He might just be, like you said, a Montez Sweat. He might just be a Preston Smith. I've long said he's Clowney is the one Clowney. who I've attributed to, which is a player who has those flashes of greatness, but never puts together, full season campaigns where you're like, this is one of your top 5 pass rushers in the league.
I think I think that's an excellent evaluation of that. And I think also because we're too close to it, it's kind of like a psychological thing. We watch every single play. We watch replays of every single play. We watch people breaking down film of every single play. And we see plays where Chase does nothing. And then we go and we watch a highlight package of Khalil Mack getting 6 sacks, and we think that that's what Khalil Mack did on every snap. But if you watched every snap of Khalil Mack, there are plays he took off. There are plays where he didn't chase a guy onto the other side of the field, a running back. There are plays where he didn't set the edge and a back went around the edge that he was supposed to set.
Yeah. There's plenty of plays where you're going to see him and the Bosa brothers and every single edge rusher go past the QB.
Right.
That's another common complaint I hear about Chase Young. And that was a problem 2 years ago, both him and Montez Sweat just running straight lines back there. But
those guys do end up having more significant impact plays over the course of a game. And then of course, over the course of a year. But just make no mistake that those other guys, those great players, also have plays where they have zero impact on the play, as the same as Chase does. They just have more impact plays than Chase does at this point. So when you see those plays that he takes off, or that he doesn't set the edge, or he goes past the quarterback, or he doesn't chase a guy down, that's not out of the ordinary. You can't go balls to the wall 75 times a game. It's just not humanly possible. Nobody does it.
And you don't want them to either, right? Because we also see the big complaint, Jack Del Rio not putting his star players in at third down. Well, if they're chasing people on second down, they're a little tired and they need to get that break there. So that's going to be something there. John here talking about the D-line is good. And that's kind of the transition. I was actually using this Chase Young talk here is because 2 players specifically on the defensive line are eligible to start coming back from their injury reserve time. And that's F.A. Obada and Phidarius Mathis. Yeah. What kind of impact, Trev, do you think these players can have on there? By the way, Mr. Steal Your Girl technically also eligible to come back, but I think we don't need to talk about the 8th wide receiver on the Commanders just yet. Let's talk about these 2 because these F.A. Obada, big time part of that defense last year, saw significant snaps last year for the Commanders. Phidarius Mathis, 2nd year in a row, he's had an injury early on, but this is a talent that they got in the 2nd round that they feel can be impactful. How impactful will they be if they're able to come back from injury reserve?
They'll be able to provide our starters with some more time to catch their breath. We've seen the flashes of Phidarius Mathis in the run game. He's capable. He came from Alabama, so he has it in him. He just got to stay healthy. And F.A. Obada, like you said, was a nice depth piece to our line last year when Chase was out and everybody else was out. He came in and stepped up to the plate when he had to. So it's going to be okay depth, but it's not going to be world changing. It's not going to be headline news. It's just going to be, hey, they're in to give Payne and Allen a breather, Ridgeway a breather. So it's just more depth, which is good, but it's not going to be anything noticeable. It's going to be
Stoner is very anti-depth in the 2nd round. So
in the 2nd round, I am 100%.
Is that enough though? Phidarius Mathis comes back and he's able to get Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne back down to more manageable numbers as he takes up. Phidarius Mathis should take up 55% of those defensive tackle snaps and perform at a level that is, what you would expect from a 2nd round. Is that enough, Stoner?
Yeah. That's the key, what you said there, that he performs at the level that's expected of him and not be just a body which right now that's what Abdullah Anderson and John Ridgway have been. They've been bodies that Jack Del Rio doesn't even want to take out because he doesn't trust that they're going to do as an effective job as a John Allen, who's probably playing certain plays at 75% because he's gassed, because he's been out there so much. But he won't take them out because he doesn't trust those other guys. That's what they can provide, is that rotational piece that if he plays 55% of the snaps, then he can be more effective than an Abdullah Anderson or a John Ridgway at this point. But I think Command D's said it really well. We don't know what Phidarius Mathis is as a player. He's barely played in the regular season. I mean, he's played 5 snaps, and in the preseason, he didn't play a whole lot. I know a lot of people want to say he's this great player that we've seen. I haven't seen it. And we saw it at Alabama, sure, but we haven't seen it at this level at all. I have no idea what he is as a player. All I know is he was a second-round pick from Alabama, and he's supposed to be pretty good. He's got to start proving it. We need him out there. But also, I don't think we don't know. They're eligible to come off the list basically yesterday, and they asked him about it, and Ron wouldn't give any answers about it.
Very coy with the response was.
So they're obviously not playing against the Bears.
No. They have 3 weeks to essentially activate them, I believe. So we'll see.
Well, but they haven't been designated to come off the list at all. They're just eligible. They can stay on it for 8, 10, 12, 15 weeks. But at a certain point, they have to say, okay, we have designated them to come off of the list. Then they have 3 weeks to activate them. Yeah. So we have no idea if they're ready to start practicing this weekend or if they're not ready for 6 weeks. We have no idea. They won't tell us.
Yeah. I think it was going to always be a long shot here going into a short week for week 5 against the Bears for them to come back. So we'll definitely keep tabs on that, and you'll probably have to watch one of those daily Commanders updates to find out what's going on with that. So make sure you do check those out. We had a couple questions here where I want quick answers on these so we can get to the Bears game here. Bosky first was, does Jack play the DBs 10 yards off the line? He does. It's their strength, and that's part of the Jack Del Rio defense. He wants to keep everything in front of them and just make solid plays and rely on the offense making a mistake and getting that. So just to answer that one, and a little bit longer, and I'm going to give this one to you guys, was earlier someone asked us, do you go after Randy Gregory? Trev?
Yep, do it. Anybody with pass rushing ability like Randy Gregory has had in the past, maybe not so much in Denver, but in the past, you make at least inquire by it, kick the tires on it.
Kick the tires, baby.
It's the NFL. It stands for not for long. Somebody's going to have a job soon because of, hate to say it, the I word. So, yeah, just give it a shot. If he doesn't want to come here, he doesn't want to come here, but at least reach out.
Absolutely.
All right, Stoner.
Kick the tires on anybody who gets released from any team. It doesn't have to be a name like Randy Gregory. I mean, Randy Gregory has a checkered past going all the way back to college, NFL draft, all of that. He's not super stable. But if he can go, punch Justin Fields in the mouth a couple times a game, then heck yeah, you go kick the tires on him.
It was a little bit of a surprise to see him on Denver's cut list there. I believe the reason they gave originally was that they wanted the younger guys to get time. He's only 30 years old. So that was right. I have a feeling there might be a little bit more to it than just giving the younger guys a bit of a go on that side of the front. But now Denver is kind of reneged on it. They said that we're not quite cutting him because maybe someone wants to trade for him, which means it's going to go for another few days before Randy Gregory gets cut, because no one's trading for a guy who gets cut. They know they can pick him up a little bit later. Stoner, you mentioned earlier, last note here, Stoner, you mentioned Cole Holcomb as a guy that no longer on here. He is playing 83% of the defensive starter snaps for Pittsburgh now. Just figured I'd give you that. But we don't have to worry about him. We have to worry about the Bears here on Thursday Night Football. Washington in a blackout game. Stick with us. You'll hear our thoughts on what we think is going to happen.
The game is brought to you by Pacers Running Stores. Pacers has 5 stores in Northern Virginia and DC. For the best running footwear, apparel, and gear, just stop by or schedule a virtual fitting with the best running experts in the business. Pacers Running exists to help as many people as possible through running. For every run, it's Pacers Running.
Washington fans are very, very confident that they will beat the Chicago Bears, at least in our poll that we had up on the community page, just absolutely saying that this is a game Washington cannot lose. Not just that they, will not lose, not that they just cannot lose. Daryl says our first complete game in all 3 phases. Savior, if Washington is PO'd about blowing the Eagles game as they make it out to be, it could be a long night for Chicago. And Trev, I'll tell you what, we talked with Joey Christopoulos earlier today. You can watch that here on our YouTube channel. That's for our viewers can watch that on our YouTube channel. But Trev, we talked with them, and I felt confident already after talking with Joey. I like this might be the Miami Dolphins versus Denver Broncos level type game after I talked to him.
We're scoring 70.
Yo, it sure as heck sounded that way, Trev. But what do you make of the Chicago Bears as they come here? You know, this was a media darling, right? This was Chicago. Justin Fields was going to take the next step. This is a team that was on the rise and everything was going to turn the corner. And here they are, 0-4, and quite possibly the worst team top to bottom in the league.
I think it's going to be a W. I mean, I think they've got a lot going on, not just on the field, but off the field. Kind of familiar with that, aren't we, guys, over here in Washington? Kind of trickles down from the front office to the field. That's what's happening in Chicago. So, yeah, they've got some major issues. If it takes Justin Fields to have his best game against the Denver Broncos and they still lost to the Denver Broncos, yes, I know we only beat them by 2 or whatever and almost went overtime, but we beat the Broncos that game. We were beating the entire game until the end. That says if it's like I said, if he had that type of game against Denver, Sam Howell's going to have double that against Chicago. They just are a messy team. Justin Fields, I think wanted him here in Washington for a few minutes. Some people wanted him here because of what he did in Ohio State. Came out and he's shown what he can do, the traits he has and the athleticism and the skills, but it's just not working at this level right now. We're on prime time. It should be a better game than 12-7 like we was last year. Just by the way our offense has played this year and our defense has played this year. This should be a clobbering. It should not be, okay, well, we're ahead, let's slack off. No, we need to put them to bed, just like Miami did to Denver, you said there, Nathan. So Chicago has a lot of problems, top to bottom, on and off the field. This should be a cakewalk so we can get ready for whoever we play next week.
I'm going to answer Justin's question here. Chris Rodriguez is the only questionable player on the injury report. Of course, missing last week due to an illness. It looks like that is lingering. On the Chicago Bears side, Tevin Jenkins is on IR. Chase Claypool is going to be a healthy and active for a second week in a row as he is feuding with the coaches over playing and all this other stuff. Jaquan Brisker listed as questionable. Eddie Jackson is out and Jalen Johnson out as well, which these are players for the defense on Chicago that's not got a great defense anyways. Stoner, how big of a game is this going to be for Washington's offense and Sam Howell getting, maybe his first multiple passing touchdown, career start?
I haven't felt this confident about a game in Washington's favor in a long time. I can't even remember the last time I felt this good about Washington. Maybe it was game 1 against Arizona. I felt pretty good about it. But I'm going to put a challenge out there to everybody who's in the chat. Give me a real reason, why we should be worried about Chicago in any facet. Why? And then I will counter it with why we shouldn't.
I'll see if we get one in the chat here in just a little bit. But
there's no reason to
the
be
the one reason,
okay,
and this is what I was asking Joey about, because this is the one thing that scares me.
Okay,
Justin Fields, the reason why he was this team was looked at as a media darling early on in the preseason and everything, was because Justin Fields was going to take that next step. We saw him as an offensive weapon last year, not in our game, but after our game, he unleashed and he started relying on his legs, and he became a little bit more of an efficient passer as well, because people had to cover his threat to run the ball. And we didn't see that last year because it was a runny, mucky game, and the defense held, and it was just kind of a whole mess there between the Commanders and the Bears. But this year, good weather, this defense hasn't yet kind of clicked into things. And if Justin Fields, who has not yet this season broken out for a run, decides that this is the game that he's going to use his wheels, that would concern me. If Justin Fields finishes this game with 125 rushing yards, it's probably still a victory for Washington, but it's a lot closer than what I think we would originally have thought.
You're giving Justin Fields way too much credit here. How many rushing yards did he have against Washington last year? I don't remember the exact number. You can look it up. I think Trev's looking it up there. I remember one really long run that he had late in the fourth quarter, I believe, on that final drive was like 60-something yards. So I imagine he would have been close to 100. They scored 7 points against Washington. How many games when they unleashed him, as you said, to running the ball last year, how many games did they end up winning of all of those after he was unleashed? 2 or 3? They're on a 14-game losing streak right now. The Chicago Bears are. They're most of their secondary, which is already one of the worst in the NFL, are out. Their offensive line, which is already one of the worst in the NFL, is missing a couple of pieces. Tevin Jenkins might play, though, I think. So we had 88 yards rushing last year against Washington, and they scored 7 points. He's going to have some runs. That's what Justin Fields does. He's not going to go out there and rush for 156 yards and 4 touchdowns. It's not going to happen because Washington's defense is good enough to contain that to a certain extent. When he has to throw the ball and they force him to, he's not going to be able to. He's not good at it. He was good at it in the first half against Denver, and then Denver switched to a zone defense. For whatever reason, they were playing man, and he ate him up, and they switched to a zone, and he couldn't do nothing because he can't read defenses. He can't go to his second option. And this is a good Washington defense. If you want to say anybody can win on Sunday, yeah, that's crap. Give me tangible reasons. If you want to say Washington doesn't blow anybody out, give me a tangible reason. They blew out Dallas last year at the end of the year. They've blown out teams before. Don't give me like this historical, Washington is not good in primetime games. Give me tangible reasons, and I'll have the counter for it.
All right. So you bring up Justin Fields' struggles against zone defenses and whether or not he can beat that. Let's flip this to Sam Howell, who we think is due for a big game here.
Right.
But one of the knocks on him early this year is that he struggles to go through those progressions. Can the Bears maybe capitalize on that the way that the Bills have and some of the other teams have, pressuring him into making mistakes?
No, they can't. They don't have the athletes on the other side of the ball that are going to disrupt Sam Howell, especially if they stick to the same game plan that they had this past week against Philly. No, they don't have anybody to be scared of on defense. They don't have anybody to be scared of on offense, except for Justin Fields running a little bit. DJ Moore's a good receiver. He's not special. He's a very good receiver. He's a Jahan Dotson / Curtis Samuel type receiver, which means he's very good, but he's not great. So there's just nothing to be scared of. And then from Washington's side, and Chicago's looking at Washington, there's a lot to be scared of for them. We have talent on both sides of the ball, and they don't have the talent to stop it. Trev.
So I just looked up stats for Justin Fields and Sam Howell this season.
Yeah.
Justin Fields QBR 35.7, 64.2 completion percentage, 861 yards, 7 touchdowns, 5 picks.
Yep.
Sam Howell 49.8 QBR, 67.1 completion percentage, 961 yards, 4 touchdowns, 5 picks.
Right.
Now, Justin Fields has 100 less yards, more throwing touchdowns, same amount of interceptions, 0-4.
Right.
Why are we 2-2 and the Bears 0-4 when our quarterbacks are pretty much playing the same similar style of football in the first 4 weeks? And here's the answer. What you just said. We have more talent on our team than the Bears do. Our receivers, our running back group is way better than the Bears receiving and running back group too. But the quarterback play is identical. So, would you rather have Justin Fields in this offense or keep Sam Howell in this offense, depending on their stats? Now, which also means, is it really Justin Fields or is it the Bears organization as a whole?
Sure.
The Bears are pretty
coaching.
despondent, and it was interesting listening to Joey because it really everything he was saying today in our game preview, I was just in my head going, this sounds so familiar. I was just like, everything they're going through is what we've been going through for decades, and they're doing it right now. And I called you out, Stoner, in that game preview. Because before the season, we all listed, and I don't remember where Trev put this, and I'd have to look this one up. I was the only one who was the howler of the group, and I only had 2 players above Sam Howell to begin the season. That was Tom Brady and Lamar Jackson, right? Those are the only 2 maybe available players that I was going to take for Washington ahead. You, Stoner, had Justin Fields
100%
ahead of him. So please answer us right now. Would you rather have Justin Fields or Sam Howell?
Well, are you trying to bring everybody to hate me? Is that what you're trying to do? Because you know my answer.
That's good. Let's hear it.
My answer is right now, today, I would still rather have Justin Fields than Sam Howell. That doesn't mean I'm out on Sam Howell. I'm just saying I would rather have Justin Fields than Sam. I think there's more to work with Justin Fields. I just believe that. And I may end up being proven wrong. That's okay. But that's what I feel right now. I would rather have Justin Fields running my offense than Sam Howell right now. Now, Sam Howell has been running it very well in 3 out of the 4 games this year. So I may be proven wrong, but I'm not a blind homer. That's the difference between me and most people, is that I will look at it objectively. I want Sam Howell to be great. I want at the end of the year when he's league MVP, and I want everybody to tell me how stupid I am for saying that I would take Justin Fields over Sam Howell. But right now, my answer is I would rather have Justin Fields.
Trev, are you going to defend our QB, or are you going to take Justin Fields? At least Redskins Weekly is with Stoner. Everybody else is asking if Stoner is living up to his namesake there.
It's tough. It's really tough. I am a homer with Sam Howell, tying back to UNC Tar Heels, of course. But
yeah,
after the stats I just dropped and watching the way these quarterbacks both play, Stoner, you kind of make a point. Justin Fields looks like he does have more to work with than Sam Howell.
Right.
And I like Sam Howell. No knock on Sam Howell. We haven't seen the best of Sam Howell, but we kind of have already seen what he is bringing to the table at the quarterback position. He can scramble when he needs to, /wants to. He has the cannon. He has the accuracy. He has the moxie, as everybody likes to say in this fan base. But it is something just about Justin Fields that makes you be like, dang. I mean, all those rushing yards last year, that's amazing, as Nathan pointed out earlier, as a reason to be scared for the game Thursday. Yes, sure. That's awesome, which means maybe the RPO game could work better with Justin Fields in our system than Sam Howell. You know, it's tough. I'm gonna go Justin Fields.
I looked it up, Nathan. I looked it up, Nathan.
I'm going Justin Fields.
Trevor had Sam Howell 8th. He had Sam Howell 8th.
That's right.
Justin Fields 5th.
I do remember him having Sam Howell very, very low.
Yeah, he had 8th and he had Justin Fields 5th.
Lord.
I mean, Justin just doesn't have any help in Chicago.
Imagine who's his head coach?
DJ Moore is a legit wide receiver. Claypool, Eberflus is not great.
And what is Eberflus's background?
Defensive back.
He's a defensive guy.
He's a defensive.
Who's the offensive coordinator for the Bears?
Now that I don't know.
Ooh, that's a better question that I don't actually have off the top of my head. His
name is Luke Getsy.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yes,
yeah. Okay.
Luke Getsy is a first-time offensive coordinator. He came from the Green Bay system as a quarterback's coach with Green Bay. Justin Fields has nothing to work with in terms of good coaching. He's working
continuity.
The first time Luke Getsy has ever been an offensive coordinator has been now with Justin Fields. The first time Eberflus, a defensive guy, has ever been a head coach. That's what Justin. And who did he have before that? What was that idiot's name?
Matt Nagy.
Yeah, Matt Nagy, right? Who? Yeah. Look, he's an offensive guy. I understand that, but Justin Fields hasn't had good coaching yet. I'm not saying that he'd come over here and Ron Rivera would set him straight, but maybe Eric Bieniemy would. Imagine Eric Bieniemy and Justin Fields. Now that's something I can get on board with, right? And I'm not poo-pooing Sam Howell.
No,
I like
we're
what
not.
Sam Howell has done, and I'll support him. And I think he's been pretty awesome so far. I'd give him a B for these first 4 games overall, and that's pretty good. But Justin Fields is a different cat. What makes him special is his ability to run. They got to let him loose. They got to let him run. That's what he does well.
Wow. I am
2-on-1, Nathan.
Just surprised.
Take a back seat, Nathan.
Big E. I am going to save the day. I'm taking Sam Howell here. You guys are absolutely right. Okay, Justin Fields is a very athletic talent, and I do think that he has something to work with and develop and everything. He's also as a starter right now. We've talked about a 14-game losing streak.
Yeah.
He's not yet turned corner. And it's not that Sam Howell at 3-2 in his young career is that much more developed than him.
Sure.
But Justin Fields has had time, and I do think that I'm not a big believer in wins and losses as a QB stat, but I do think the QB has a direct impact on that more so than other players. And Justin Fields up to this point has not shown that he can be a winner. Now, that's not to say he can't turn around. Michael Vick was kind of in a similar boat, had some years where, yes, Atlanta was a winning team, but a lot of those years, Michael Vick was a special talent on losing teams.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Justin Fields is probably right there. Now, Michael Vick, special talent, gets to Eagles. Eagles have an amazing season with Michael Vick there, as we can all remember Monday Night Massacre. Yes, supporting cast, coaching, and everything. Justin Fields isn't there yet.
Right.
So I'm going to roll with Sam Howell, who I've seen take way too many lickings in some of those of his own doing. But I've also seen and part of this, Stoner, you can blame for the familiarity bias,
okay,
right? That we like to point out on occasion. It's not just the highlights I've seen of Sam Howell. I've watched him day in and day out, and I go and I dissect what he's doing. He's making special throws, not just the touchdown throws, just some darn special throws I've seen him do. When I've watched Justin Fields highlight tapes and I see him running, it's like, okay, that's great. I rarely see anything that he's doing in the passing game that gets me excited. Whereas I've seen Sam Howell make big runs, right? We've seen him go out there. He needs to slide, but I've seen him make big runs, and I've seen him make big throws. And we called it a big boy throw there to Jahan Dotson to get us to be within 1 point against the Eagles, right? We've seen those. Justin Fields, when you watch his passing things, when you've watched some of his tape and you see some of those passes, I have not seen as many of those kind of throws His highlight tapes tend to be him moving out of the pocket, avoiding the sacks, and then finding an open wide receiver because it's a scramble drill.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to take the guy who I think is more of a developed passer at this point than the pure athletic talent that is Justin Fields. That's my case.
That's your case.
That's why.
And I get your case, but Trev, it's the wrong case.
Yeah. It's clear.
We're kicking you out of court. We're taking the majority 2-1, and we're
Big E
taking
pointing out here. Fields hasn't led many 4-quarter drives in his career. As Hal has.
Well, I mean, I mean that's a really cool statement. You're gonna have to back that up because I bet you that's wrong. Sam Howell's played in 5 games, and how many fourth-quarter comebacks has he had? 0. Has he had any fourth-quarter comebacks?
What do you mean, Sam Howell fourth-quarter comebacks?
Yeah, maybe Arizona.
Well, I think they're counting. I mean, he's had second. Of course, this year he's had at least 2 second-half comebacks as they were been down at half. The only game this season that they led was Philadelphia. So he's had second-half comebacks. Fourth-quarter comebacks. He said
fourth-quarter comebacks.
He did specifically get the game tied. Now they end up losing in overtime.
Right, that don't count.
Yeah,
that ain't one. So he's only played in 5 games, and let's just give him the benefit of the doubt and say they won all 5 games and they came back in the fourth quarter in all 5 games and won, which is not the case. But let's just say that it did. Justin Fields has been a quarterback for 3+ years. I bet you he's got more than 5. I'm going to say that right now.
Well, somebody might look that one up here.
Can just Google it.
Yeah, we'll talk on the comedian's note here, not trusting us as QB evaluators. I'm going to question this one. Pretty much we rather have Wentz than Dak. I was never on the Carson Wentz train outside of the contract. That was my favorite part of getting Carson Wentz was you can dump him after a year and the only loss maybe like a couple third rounders. I was never a Carson Wentz guy. I have been a Dak Prescott guy. I'm not sure why he hasn't continued being the QB who he was in the first 4 seasons, because he's definitely been more Russell Wilson of late than he has been Dak Prescott of early. So, but so questioning that one. So TJ saying Trev is still on the train.
Sorry, Big E wants to say how many not comeback
drives.
Who cares? Sorry, Biggie. I'm not.
I do have a reason why. If I have to be nervous about tomorrow night's game, it's this: Sam Howell's 5 interceptions all have come at home.
Oh, is that the case? Okay, all 5. Well, how many road games has he even played? 2.
Yeah, he's only played Denver and Philadelphia, and so he has the 5 interceptions this year. 1 last year against Dallas. As well, to triple coverage that was overplayed in my opinion, as far as something for Sam Howell. But so one against Arizona and 4 against Buffalo. So I'm not too concerned about that, Trev, in the sense that it's such a swingy stat.
I don't want him to be,
4 games and 4 of those coming against one opponent who was just beating the living daylights out of him.
Yeah, you're right. But I just don't want him to get ahead of himself in the blackout game, only game on TV. We at home, sold out. He wants to try and do too much, and
it was kind of that was my point early when Stoner was asking us for something to potentially harp on as why Washington isn't going to beat the Bears tomorrow, and we talked about Justin Fields struggling to read a defense. It's on tape right now that Sam Howell, if you only rush 4 and drop 7. That sometimes he holds on to the ball too long. That's the reason why he's leading the NFL in sacks right now and is still on pace to crush David Carr's record. He's going to crush that record in 14 games, let alone being 16 games.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you guys this. How well, if the Chicago defense can't muster anything up, which so far they haven't had any real great games, so if they can't muster up the pressure, will the offensive line be able to protect Sam Howell and allow him to make smart decisions?
How many sacks do the Bears have this year? Well, overall for the whole year, they have 2.
Two.
I'll save you the time from looking it up. They have 2. in 4
Buffalo
games.
started with 3. And I just want to remind you.
That's true. That. Okay, but that has zero bearing on whether the Bears are going to get any sacks or not. They have 2 in the entire year, and all of a sudden they're going to come out and get 6 sacks on Sam Howell after the game plan that they put together last week against Philly. I don't see that.
We allow 6 sacks to this depleted defensive Chicago Bear line.
Yeah.
O-line is going to have some vacancies.
Somebody get fired.
That's what I'm saying. There's no reason why we should even allow more than 10 pressures against this Bears defense.
You're right. You're right.
I mean, it's NFL. It's going to
pressures,
be
not just sacks, but saying. Pressures. 10 pressures.
There's no reason.
I agree with that, Trev. I agree with just about any stat that you come up that's in Washington's favor.
I haven't seen Stoner this so laid back and carefree about a game since I joined this
Chicago
podcast.
is so bad. And yeah, we only beat them 12-7 last year. This is a completely different offense that Washington has this year. Completely different. I'm sold on this offense because of what they did against Philadelphia. And we talk about this whole moral victories. We had a big discussion on it. That was a moral victory for the offense to be able to go out there against Philadelphia and
it's a good Philadelphia defense. Mm-hmm.
Learn from the previous week when they were so bad against Buffalo and they completely changed the game plan and it worked to the tune of 31 points. So I'm super confident that they saw what worked and they say, we're going to have to stick with this. So I'm confident in every aspect against Chicago. When Atlanta comes to town or when we go to Atlanta, that's, we'll have to dive into those numbers and everything. Against Chicago's so bad. They're worse. They are way worse than Arizona. And we all talked about how bad Arizona was. Chicago is just really, really. The only redeeming quality on the whole team is Justin Fields throwing to DJ Moore. Khalil Herbert's pretty good.
I was about to say he's a decent running back for them.
He's
Herbert
pretty good.
Yeah, 41 carries for 196 yards on the year.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Okay, but he's Khalil Herbert. Okay, let's not get carried away. These are the Chicago Bears who have lost 14 games in a row. This is a bad, bad, bad team. And Washington is not a bad team. They've had 2 games against 2 of the best teams in the NFL. And they lost both of those. And they're coming off of they're going to come out. And I don't think it's going to be 20-0 at halftime or anything like that. It's going to be still close in the first half. But come the fourth quarter, it's going to be we'll talk about our numbers later, but it's going to be a pretty good wipeout for Washington.
Well, why don't we go ahead and get to those numbers here right now? In the cool down, week 5 predictions. I want to see them in your chat, or if you're listening to the audio, make sure you hit us up on any of our social media platforms, which I have a reminder when we come here for the cool down.
The cool down is brought to you by Manscaped. Ever since my Nathan started using their products, I can't cool down. Fellas, trust me. Go to Manscaped right now and get 20% off and free shipping by using the code REF. Your ladies will appreciate you. Now back to Trev, Stoner, and my Manscaped man, Nathan.
It's time here for the cool down and our bold predictions and our game predictions here. Make sure you get your game predictions in the chat. I mentioned Washington fans very confident, over 1,300 votes, 96% of those going Washington's way on that one. So lots of confidence, just like Stoner has when it comes to this. TJ taking it 30-16. Gregory saying 23-21. Big E 225.
Hey,
2.
Hey, Commanders are going to win. I thought he said Commanders.
No, Commanders. Doug is 31-17.
New rule: before you can put your score prediction in there, you have to hit the like button. So if you try to put it in and you haven't hit the like button, it won't allow you. So you're going to have to just go ahead and hit the like button.
He's programmed YouTube to do that.
So make sure y'all hit that like button.
Now, do make sure you hit that like button and while we're waiting for more of these to get in here, and we'll listen to some of those dollars, we have a new Instagram account. It's just simply at Ref the District. So make sure that you go follow that on Instagram. We're going to be posting more there as the year goes on. So you might see some of our promos out there, but we'll post some very specific things to IG as the year goes on. So just make sure you follow us there as well. Let's get to these game predictions here. Kim, 40-7. Commandees 34-13, Jake 27-17, Metaphor 70-20, highlighting or hearkening back to when I said this is going to be the Dolphins and Denver game for us. Gus with 31-12, Stefan 27-14, 28-9, 40-37. Trev, what do we got for you in your game prediction here?
27-20 Commanders. I think, even though I think we should blow them out, we've seen the play down or up to our level of competition week in, week out. We really aren't that team that comes out and, puts the foot on the gas the whole game. We always got to make it interesting somehow. We did against Denver, who Denver just beat Chicago barely after Chicago had that huge lead last week. Then we turn around against Buffalo and get swamped by Buffalo. Then we turn around against Philly and play way better and almost upset them. So I just think that we just match the level of competition, and for some reason we're going to do the same thing on Thursday. So it's going to be 27-20 Commanders.
Not exactly the butt whooping I was expecting there.
But I want it, but
right the ship for us and give us that smackdown.
Yeah, I think it is going to be a fairly easy game for Washington. I think they're going to be able to do what they want to do for the most part on offense, and Justin Fields and their offense is not going to be able to do a whole lot. Washington's defense is going to figure out how to slow down Justin Fields. Look, you just play zone defense against Justin Fields and you'll be fine. Stop Khalil Herbert and play zone defense and you'll be fine. Justin's going to have some big plays. He's going to have a third down scramble to where he's going to, get out for 13 yards or something when they have them all bottled up, and he'll do something special. He'll have a few of those and we'll get frustrated, but over the course of the game, he's not going to make enough plays to allow them to get a whole lot of scores. Washington is going to be able to do a little bit of scoring on their own. They're not going to have this offensive explosion, but they are going to put some points on the board. And so I think it's going to be, some people have already said it a little bit, I think it's going to be like a 28-12 victory for Washington. I mean, if you look at that from afar, use the big picture, the 100-foot glass view, whatever the saying is, 28-12, you'd take that. That's a butt whooping. You more than double their score. You put 28 points on the board. You hold them to 12. That's a really solid win. And you have to beat the Bears no matter what. This is a must-win game, more than most games are going to be the course of the year. This is a must-win.
This is a game that I want the national media to turn around and talk about all day Friday about how the Commanders are legit, that they took the Philadelphia Eagles to overtime. The Bills game was an aberration. Yep. They actually held the Bills to 16 points until the fourth quarter. Things got out of hand, that this is a legit team. And to do that, I think that they're going to put away the Bears 34-16. I think it's important to score points here for the offense. This would only be the second game that they've scored 30 points in a row. They would have scored 30 points 3 times in 5 games, which is a little bit of a rarity for this team. But if they can get to Atlanta and have the opportunity to score 30 points for 3 games in a row, that'd be the first time since the end of 2015 and the beginning of 2016 to have done that. And I think that is where this offense needs to be right now, is showing us like they can put points up against bad defenses. They've put up points against good defense in Philadelphia. Let's put up some good points. Let's put up big points against a bad defense. Let's change this, like you said, Trev, about not playing down to the prospective team that we're playing If the weather is good, which it shows right now that it's supposed to be perfect fall weather, 70 there in Landover tomorrow night, it should be that absolutely butt whooping. Yeah, Kevin, fair enough. Kevin saying no matter what they're going to say, but it was the Bears. I think the difference for that, Kevin, is kind of talking about how when I talked about Sam Howell making those big boy throws, right?
Mm-hmm.
If Sam Howell is throwing these absolute dots and that's what's going to get them excited. If they think Washington has a QB that's going to be a star in this league, the media is going to take on to this team.
Absolutely.
If Chase Young and Montez Sweat and Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne tally up 9 sacks tomorrow and hold Justin Fields to less than 200 yards passing and like 50 yards rushing, and only to those 16 points, they're going to be like, this defense is getting back on track. This is a team, again, you got Atlanta and the Giants. If they win those games, they're going into Philly as the rematch, a game that they went to overtime. The national media is going to be all over Sam Howell and these Washington Commanders. They already want to like Eric Bieniemy. And we've seen Mina Kimes and Orlovsky talk about, Sam Howell and how special he can be. Let's put it all together and let's make the media salivate. We have all eyes on us. This is our house here on Thursday Night Football. Let's show them.
Is that why you were in Under Armour right now? Because you were ready to say that?
We must protect his house. Subliminal marketing there. I like it.
So, yeah, I'm picking them big. I do want that to happen. Let's get to some of these dollars here. I've seen several in the chat already. Have not done a good job starring them to get them to talk about. Metaphor here with one on the Forbes. Over under 1 pick. And he's going as far as saying 1 pick 6. I'm definitely going to take the under on a pick 6. That's
you're not going to pick 6.
That's how about Emmanuel Forbes with just a pick?
He's getting the pick 6.
Ooh, Trev's going with the pick 6. Of course he is.
NFL is scripted. The man has a horrible game against the Eagles. He deletes his social media. He gets a chance to redeem himself as the only game on TV tomorrow. Ball hawk, pick 6. It's scripted.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm going against that. I'm going against that. I love it. I love it. And when we're watching the game and calling play-by-play, if it happens, Trev, I guarantee you my touchdown call is going to be, it's scripted. It's scripted. Touchdown, Washington. Would love to see that one. Allison going on the positive side here for Sam Howell, 300 plus passing yards.
Yes.
Taking that, Stoner.
Yes, I think Sam Howell has a really, really good game.
So what's the game plan going in this? Are we going to ground and pound or are we going to air it out?
It's the Eric Bieniemy, 64% passing and 36% running the ball.
I think they're going to air it out quite a bit against this defense that has playing a couple of, I think they're rookie corners and safety. I mean, they're so bad in the defensive backfield, and they're going to throw it quite a bit.
This would be Sam Howell's first 300-yard passing game.
Yeah, I think it'll happen.
Trev, you with him?
No.
Okay.
Now I'm obligated to go with Stoner just because Trev went on the opposite end here.
The Bears are.
I was hoping you were going to go with Stoner. I was going to say I'll take the under. But no, all right. Now I'm with you, Stoner.
The Bears are 29th in the league in pass defense. And they've got more guys out. What is Washington in pass defense? 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20th.
How about pass offense? Because that's the matchup you're going to be seeing there. By the way, he was 1 yard shy in the Denver game, finished 299, which is why that's why it's believable.
Where the Bears are. Why don't they put – I hate that they don't put the rankings
numbers. Sure.
32, 31, 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24th in pass offense. Washington is 23, 22, 20th again.
So not that great, but –
No.
No, I do think Sam Howell's in for a big game. I think this is going to be, like I said, the game where the national media is talking about us, and they're going to talk about Sam Howell and what he is capable of. So I do expect a big game. I misspoke earlier, by the way. I said I said earlier multiple touchdowns for Sam Howell, which would be his first. If he did have 2 passing touchdowns against Denver.
Oh, against Denver.
Against Dallas? He had 1 passing, 1 rushing.
Oh, 1 rushing. Okay.
Yeah. So so my mistake. The Denver game was his first multiple touchdown. How about, can we get to 3? Does anyone want to take 3 passing touchdowns for Sam Howell?
I don't, but I will say I think he will, but I'm not willing to put a dollar on it.
How about 3 total touchdowns? Maybe 1 rushing in there?
No, I really do think he'll have 3 passing touchdowns. You know what? You talked me into it. I think he'll have 3 passing touchdowns.
All right. Stoner's going to go down for 3 passing touchdowns, 3+ passing touchdowns. Trev is going against it. I'm the only one I think had that many points really on the board for this to be a reasonable thing.
I have 28. I got 4 touchdowns.
Oh, there you go. 4 touchdowns. Yeah. So I do think it's a big game. So I'll go with you here. I'll go.
Okay.
If I'm going to be, not this time, Trev, I wasn't going against you. This time I'm legit going with Sam Howell. The other one I was going against you. I was like, I thought maybe like 275 yards. But then as soon as you said that you were going to go under, I was like, well, now I got to go over. But this time I'm going with Sam Howell getting 3 touchdowns legit there.
I've got a long-term bold prediction. Okay, so we won't know the answer to this for a while. Washington goes in their next 6 games. They go, you ready? 5-1.
So they have the Bears, Falcons, Giants, Eagles, and Patriots. You're only giving us 1 loss in that time.
No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, I meant to go 7 games.
Seahawks included in there?
Seahawks and Giants did it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah,
Giants twice.
Leading up to the Cowboys.
Right, leading up to that Cowboys game, this team is going to be 7-3 going into the Cowboys matchup on Thanksgiving, no less. Yep, they're going to be 7-3. They're going to go. So what is that? They're going to go 5-1, 5-2. I can't do math very well. 5-1 in their, but I'm talking about 7 games. So
7 games. So they're
going to go 5-2,
6-1.
No, they'll go 6-1, Stoner, because you're saying they're going to have 3 losses by the time
they're going to go 5-2. So they're going to be 7-4.
Okay, 7-4. So he's changed it now.
Yeah, they're going to be 7-4 going into the Thanksgiving game against Dallas. And I'm not going to tell you which 2 games they're going to lose.
No, I like that.
One is a game that we're not going to see coming. It's going to be something like the Patriots or something.
Like tomorrow.
And they're going to have a win against somebody you're like, oh, I didn't see that coming, which will be like maybe the Seahawks out in Seattle or Philadelphia second game, whichever.
As Tommy says, speak it to existence. There are some very winnable games coming up on the schedule. We'll have plenty of time to talk about the Falcons, the Giants, the Eagles, the Patriots, the Seahawks, and the Giants. Those are some very, very winnable games there that we're talking about. However, those have future weeks to talk. Let's talk more about the Bears here. How about that defense here for Washington holding Justin Fields to less than 200 yards passing?
No, I think they will. I think that's correct.
I think they will.
Okay, everybody is in agreement with that. So let's stick with the defense. And Washington, I'm trying to think what you guys would go with a sack total here. Would you guys go as low as 3?
I'd say 2.
So you're going to go under. I'm saying defense? 3+ sacks. You're going to go with 2. So Trev's already against me. Stoner.
We can't catch him.
Yeah, they're going to have their 3. I'm going to go with the over on that. 3 at least.
So you're with me on that one, Stoner. Yeah, I think 3+. I don't think any one of us got the correct answer for a sack last week. Stoner might have to check his notes there. I know I went with Deron Payne. You went with a cornerback, and I forget who Trev went with. But
I gotta find it. But
yeah, I do think this defensive line here is capable of getting those sacks. I'd be surprised if Chase Young doesn't make his presence felt again. I think you're going to see another good game. Not calling a sack necessarily, but I'm saying that he's going to make his presence felt. Stoner?
Nathan, you had Deron Payne, and I had Jamin Davis.
Okay, and neither one of those were sacks.
So
there.
3+ sacks, and Trev says no, they're not going to get 3 because they won't be able to catch him. All right, for Washington, Trev says no. I got one for you. I forgot what it was already. Oh, Justin Fields plus 50 yards rushing.
Yeah, I think he'll have that.
Yes.
It would be only his second time all season. Opening week, he had 59 yards rushing. He had 47 against Kansas City. But the other 2 games, 4 rushes for 3 yards against Tampa Bay, 4 rushes for 25 yards against Denver. By the way, sacks on the season, he is 17. 4, 6, 3, and 4.
He's been sacked a lot.
They've been keeping him in the pocket a lot.
Yeah. Washington's defense is going to be relentless on him, and he's going to have some breakaways where he's going to pop out of there and run for 13, 17 yards. He's going to do that a few times. So I think he'll have more than 50 yards.
I do think that he's going to break
for
containment
sure.
at least once there. So that'd be pretty safe to say that he might have a couple, but he's also going to have some of those garbage time runs where Washington doesn't care if he picks up 15 on the ground because they're already beating the bricks off of the Bears. At least that's in my world here. Ricardo Terry getting 150 yards also with Stoner saying 6-2 after.
I'd say 6-2 after 8. No, because that means they're going to definitely beat the Eagles. That means they got to win the next 4, right? Because they're 2-2 now. So that means Bears, Falcons.
Stoner's
Giants,
not
Eagles.
that bold.
Not quite that bold. They're going to lose a game they're not supposed to win. I mean, they're supposed to win.
Are you bold enough to take Terry 150 plus passing or 150 plus receiving yards here against this woeful Bears defense, as you keep calling them?
No, I'm not going to go that high for an individual. I mean, I think he's going to have a good game. I mean, look, I've got Sam Howell over 300 yards. They got to go to somebody.
How about Terry McLaurin breaking 100 yards?
Yep.
Trev? I'm also saying he's going to break 100 yards this game. So, man, Trev,
Nathan,
where do you land? Are you with us or are you against us?
I'm against you. He's going to spread the ball around way too much against the depleted
EB's
defense.
offense definitely spreads it out. So it will be interesting to see if whether or not he gets there, but we'll see how that goes here. Kevin with a D-line scoop and score.
Yeah,
defensive line. They're just so unpredictable.
Yeah,
they're so unpredictable. How about I'll put this one on here. We need to eventually get to doing a season tally of these, but I'll be bold enough to push this out here. Maybe not with Kevin on a scoop and score, but I do think this defensive line makes their presence known. I've said 3 sacks, a separate one from the 3+ sacks.
Mm-hmm.
A strip sack is going to happen this game for Washington's defense.
That's also very specific.
It is. It is very specific.
I'm with you. I think
they're only basing each other's votes against what I answer. Y'all realize that, right? No matter what they think, no matter what I do, they're doing opposite. I just want y'all to, if you haven't caught that yet, you just caught it. It doesn't matter. I can say they'll sell 0 hot dogs tomorrow night, and they'll be like, "Oh no, they will. They'll sell hot dogs tomorrow night." They don't even know.
Hey, wait. Matter. I mean, that's kind of true, but Nathan, did you say the D line has a strip sack or just
no? I'm saying Washington gets a strip sack against Justin Fields tomorrow. Yeah. I'm saying the defensive line is going to have a great game.
Yeah,
and I'm saying Washington on top of that is going to get
all right, Trev, bring me one.
I got a Curtis Samuel touchdown tomorrow.
I'm with you, Trev. I'm with you. Curtis Samuel touchdown.
He's been having a good year so far.
Nathan?
Curtis Samuel's been having himself a really good year so far. I don't know that I can go against that. So let me look at it here. And I'm going to break down the game log for Curtis Samuel. Okay. He has 3 touchdowns on the year, only failing to score against Buffalo, where nobody scored a touchdown.
Wow. Yes. I didn't even realize that.
Sorry. I messed that up. He has 1 touchdown.
All year. I was going to say, I was like,
he has 3 carries. I was looking at the wrong list there. So no, sorry. He has 1 touchdown. Good catch. 1 touchdown. And that's on a rush, but he's been a very effective wide receiver for Washington.
Yeah, he has.
I'll tell you what, touchdowns are swinging. I'll go against you guys.
All right,
I'll give you the action there. I do think Curtis Samuel's had a very special year, and I've really appreciated what he's been able to bring to this Eric Bieniemy offense, because he was kind of the lost. He was kind of that odd person out when we were looking at what this team was going to bring. As far as wide receivers were concerned, you had Terry McLaurin, who we know is a top 12, top 10 wide receiver in this league. You have Jahan Dotson, who we all predicted to have an amazing year and put himself into the top 20 wide receiver league discussion, right? We thought Cole Turner might have a breakout year. We had Antonio Gibson, who we thought was going to be a special, weapon within this offense. And Curtis Samuel just came in and said, you know what, guys, this is why I signed here for $36 million over 3 years. This is why he pulled me from Carolina, is because I can just do everything, and I can do everything pretty well. So kudos to Curtis Samuel and what he's been able to bring to this Eric Bieniemy offense. I just think that he's held without a touchdown this game.
And by the way, he's going to find himself on the outside next year.
He's totally going to find some other team to play for.
He will not.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We have Antonio Gibson, or Gibby, with a fumble.
Yes.
Allison and Metaphor going on that one. I'm going to go against it. It's not going to happen.
He's not going to fumble.
Trev, I am one of the staunchest Antonio Gibson defenders that there is. So you knew I was not going to go for that one.
I know, but
you knew I wasn't going to go for that one.
You should have.
Tressway gets a punt inside the 5-yard line.
That hasn't happened how many years
for him? 5-yard line.
I'm going to say no, and I'm going to say no while also doubling down. I'm not going to put $1 to this, but I'm saying no, because I don't think Tressway is going to have too many opportunities. I think he's only going to have maybe 2 opportunities all game max.
Okay,
I'm telling you, this game is going to be Washington's offense is going to find itself cooking.
Trev, which way you going on that one? Is he going to drop one inside the 5? I probably could have said 10, and
he's had a pretty, to his standards, bad punting year so far.
Yeah, you're right.
He's Tressway, and as much as I love Tressway, and I'll be wearing his jersey tomorrow, he's not had a great year. So Alcatone, Dotson over 100. We had Terry with over 100. Is Dotson going to get over 100?
Receiver over 100 tomorrow.
No receiver over 100. I'll take that action.
Yeah, I'll take that as well. But Dotson's not going to get 100, I don't think. I think that we're still waiting for him to have that breakout game, and maybe that's going to be Atlanta or against the Giants, but it's not. I don't think it's coming here against the Bears. I think you're going to see it. Terry McLaurin show here. Got one more for us, Trev.
Yeah, Washington scores a touchdown off of a screen.
That's really specific.
I don't care who it is, but it's going to be a screenplay, and we're going to score.
I'm with you, Trev. Let's go.
I was going to say it, so I'll go against it just for the action here. Just for the action, Trev, because I was about to say I'm with you, because I kind of like that one. That's pretty fun there. Metaphor, Tressway 0 punts. I'm with you, Metaphor. I'm with you.
Okay.
That's kind of what I was going for.
I'll take that he has at least 1 punt.
Sure. Might as well. This is fun. These are bold predictions. here we go with the bold predictions here as the Washington Commanders will host the Chicago Bears against or at FedEx Field on Thursday Night Football. If you think Washington's going to win, make sure you hit that like button. If you're watching here on YouTube, make sure you subbed up wherever you are. Make sure you tune in tomorrow night as we are bringing you the live play-by-play and reaction for it. So plenty of fun going to be had there. Stoner is absolutely the combined score. Yeah, that's a good one here. We'll get that one here a little bit. Stoner, I want to make sure you knew I'm remembering the survivor picks this time. So we'll get to our survivor picks. If you have an excellent, this is guaranteed to win, and we can't pick Washington because we picked Washington against Arizona to start the year. If there's a survivor pick that you think that is a lock for this weekend, let us know here in the chat. But
we have Washington available in one of our pools.
I thought we picked Washington. Both of us picked Washington week 1 against Arizona.
No,
that doesn't matter here. What was the combined with the combined score will be under 50.
Yes.
Mine was right at 50.
Mine's at 47.
Mine's at 40.
I think we're all agreeance with you then, Yam. It's going to be 50 or under there. So,
yep.
All right.
Survivor pool.
Pool. Miami.
I kind of like Miami. That's kind of where I was leaning.
And Miami.
Oh, yeah. Let's just double dip on the Miami action.
Let me throw another one out there for you. We can't use Chiefs.
Giants have been so bad.
Yeah. What about, let me pitch to you Buffalo
over Jacksonville?
Over Jacksonville. Is that in London? That's in London, right?
I think it's a London game.
Yes,
that's a trap game. I wouldn't do that one.
Washington's a good one. What about Detroit at home against Carolina?
Carolina's really bad.
Yeah.
And Detroit's been pretty good. I wouldn't mind that one, but I'm
that's a good one.
What about Philly over the Rams?
No.
I mean, we took them toe to toe. And Cooper Kupp might be back.
I think that's gonna be a closer game.
So Miami over the Giants, Miami at home over the Giants. We want those in both our leagues, both our survivor pools.
I think that's good.
Does anybody have any?
Right. I'm looking again. I don't see
Gregory taking Baltimore
over the Steelers.
Over the Steelers.
Well, Steelers.
Well, Pickens did just get.
Pickett's not playing.
Pickett got injured.
He's playing.
So it's
Pickett.
Yeah,
I don't think Pickett's playing.
All right. Well, we'll see how all that goes and breaks down. Make sure, again, you watch our game preview with the Believe in Bears, Joey Christopoulos there, as it was an excellent look into the dysfunction on the other side of the field. But he breaks down exactly why Washington fans should be pretty excited. And then, of course, tune in tomorrow for our play-by-play and reaction on Friday. It's your day after reckoning. And then we are into the weekend, Columbus Day or Indigenous Peoples Day, whichever one you want to celebrate. Just give me a day off. That's all I have to say. Until next time.
Pass the sticks, Chicago. You're getting skunked.
Be a fan.